Welcome, weary soul. Tonight, I'm the voice guiding you into calm, steady sleep. Before we begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more bedtime tales. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is. And if there's a story you want to hear next, let me know that I never expected to still be working at a pizza place in my late 20s. Seriously, I thought I'd be done by 21. But life doesn't always let you choose your chapters. Sometimes it just slaps one into your hands and says, deal with it. People who've never worked in food service think delivering pizza is just driving around listening to music and raking in tips. Yeah, no. It's late nights, bizarre customers, sketchy neighborhoods, and more awkward driveway encounters than one person should ever endure. But my place, Fire Heel Pizza Company in Cedar Falls, Oklahoma, was different. We had a reputation, more like a sacred rule. 0 wrong orders. Ronnie, our manager, a 40-year-old former high school linebacker with a mustache thicker than his patience, hung a giant red sign behind the counter, 237 days without a mistake. If someone messed up, the sign reset to 0 and whoever screwed up had to do a forfeit. Some were harmless, like wearing a tutu for a whole shift. Others were nightmare level, like scrubbing every greasy vent hood by yourself at 2 a.m. We took that sign way too seriously. But it kept everyone sharp, and me. I wasn't just a driver, I was the veteran. 7 years total, on and off, between real jobs, failed ambitions, and a breakup that wrecked me more than I'll ever admit. Fire Heel became my odd little world. The crew became my dysfunctional second family. Jordy, the vape-addicted shift leader with too much sarcasm. Talia, who hit the dough like it owed her money. Reyes, the cashier whose anxiety was legendary. And me, the long-timer they all assumed had seen everything that I truly believed I had, until the night I delivered to Aubrey Haskins. A name I won't forget as long as I'm alive. That IT started at 4:52 p.m. on a slow Wednesday. I was leaning on the soda fridge scrolling my phone when the ticket printer sputtered to life again. Yo, old man. You're up, Jordy said that I'm 29. He's 22. He thinks that's a massive age gap. Idiot that I grabbed the receipt. 3 items, 1 large cheese pizza with extra mozzarella, garlic knots, and a house salad with no tomatoes. Customer name, Aubrey Haskins. Address, Hickory Bend Lane, nice, quiet suburban area, easy drop, I muttered. Talia slid the pizza into a box. Check the toppings. Ronnie will cry if we reset the board today. I checked. Double cheese, golden, perfect stretchy pull, picture perfect. That I packed everything, grabbed the thermal bag, and climbed into my beat-up charcoal gray Honda. The sun was dipping behind the trees in that peaceful Oklahoma way, still, quiet, like the world holding its breath. I didn't realize then that it was a warning. Hickory Bend Lane looked peaceful. Garages open, kids' bikes on lawns, neighbors waving at each other, classic suburb. I pulled into the driveway and saw a woman unloading her trunk. 2 kids hopped out after her, maybe 10 and 8. She turned when she heard my door shut. Perfect bob haircut. Pricey activewear. A face sharp enough to slice someone open with a glare. Hi there, I said, holding the warm bag. Fire Heel Pizza. Aubrey? She sighed like I'd ruined her entire week. You're early. I blinked. It's 5:14. We estimated 5:20. Early is usually good. Her eyes narrowed. Her left eyelid twitched, literally twitched. The boy whispered to his sister, Mom's gonna freak. Aubrey shot him a look so deadly that I straightened my spine without thinking. That I handed her the garlic knots. She immediately opened the box, staring inside like she expected to find a rat performing yoga. She sniffed them. Pinched one like it was contaminated. They're fine, she said eventually. What about the salad? I passed it over. She inspected every leaf like she was grading produce for the queen. It said no tomatoes. There aren't any, I said. I know, she snapped. I'm checking that you know. Sure. Totally normal. Then she lifted the pizza lid. Steam rose up with that warm, buttery, cheesy smell everyone recognizes. The kids brightened instantly. Yes, the boys said. Cheese explosion. But Aubrey's face turned red, not embarrassed red or tired red. Psychotic red. There is no ham on this pizza. I stared at her. She ordered double cheese. Nothing else. It wasn't on the receipt, I said carefully. Her voice dropped to a cold, deadly whisper. I ordered ham. I know what I ordered. I angled the receipt toward her. Large cheese, extra mozzarella. Her eyes widened with fury. Are you calling me a liar? No, ma'am, I ordered ham, she screamed so loud her son flinched. Her daughter tugged her sleeve. Mom, it's okay. We like it plain. No, we do not. The girl started crying. The boy stepped back like he'd seen this meltdown before. A chill crept up my spine. Something was wrong. Really wrong that I swallowed. Ma'am, if we made a mistake, even one topping, you get the whole order free. She stared at me like I'd personally murdered her dog. I don't want it free, she shrieked. I want the ham. And then, she threw the entire pizza box at my face. Full force. Hot cheese slapped my cheek. The cardboard smacked my nose. I stumbled back, cursing. The kids screamed, Mom, stop, the daughter yelled. Aubrey pointed at me with trembling hands. You ruined my night. You ruined everything. I wiped cheese off my cheek, trying to stay calm. I can remake it. No cost. Just relax. Instead she rushed me. Actually charged. Her manicured nails sliced through the air like claws. I threw my arms up as she raked her nails down my cheek. It burned. Lady, stop. I shouted. Her son cried, Mom, no. Please no. But she didn't stop. She went for my eyes, then I heard pounding footsteps and a voice yelling, back OFF, crazy. Something massive slammed into Aubrey from the side. A woman, a neighbor, broad-shouldered, tattooed, wearing a faded Metallica shirt. She tackled Aubrey into the recycling bins. Cans crashed. A plastic jug flew. Aubrey shrieked like an animal. The neighbor pinned her and yelled, call the cops. Now. The boy sprinted toward a house shouting for Mr. Henley. That I stumbled back, breathing hard, cheek throbbing. Aubrey sprang up again fast, this time gripping something shiny, her keys, between her fingers like a weapon. Nope, I muttered. Not happening. Instinct took over. I lunged, grabbed her arm mid-swing, and shoved her. Panic makes you strong in weird ways. She collapsed onto the lawn, gasping. Her kids cheered, again. The neighbor sat on her until police cars arrived. Officers separated everyone, took statements, photographed my scratched face, and loaded Aubrey into the cruiser. She screamed non-stop, you think you're safe? You think this is over? I know what I ordered. Then her ex-husband arrived, Sawyer Haskins. Tired, rumpled suit, wind-blown hair. He gathered the kids instantly. The daughter pointed at me. She scratched his face, Daddy. Sawyer gave me a look filled with apology, like he'd lived this nightmare countless times. I'm sorry, he said softly. She hasn't been well. One of the officers nodded. Yeah. We know. Happened last month, too. Later, Sawyer explained everything. Aubrey's addiction to prescription meds mixed with energy pills, the divorce, the court battles, the emotional breakdowns, the violent incidents. And tonight was her worst spiral yet that I just happened to be the unlucky person delivering her dinner. Aubrey didn't go to prison. They sent her to a psychiatric facility. The kids stayed with their father permanently. The neighbor, Donna Ray, became a regular at Fire Heel. She'd walk in and say, "What's up, Scarface?" Even though the scratch left barely a mark. Ronnie didn't make me do the forfeit. "Kid, getting ninja clawed is punishment enough." Still, we reset the sign. 0 days without a mistake. Technically, yes, the ham wasn't there, but none of us joked about it. Seeing someone unravel like that sticks with you. It clings to you. Now, every dusk when I'm out delivering, there's this tiny moment where I slow down, look around, and remember the rage in Aubrey's eyes. All over one missing topping. One tiny error. One stupid detail. It's unsettling how close you can come to real danger over something so small, something everyone else forgets but the one person who lived it. Me that I still deliver pizzas. I still check every order twice, sometimes 3 times. Because you never know which doorstep is normal, and which one is a bomb waiting to blow. I've been delivering pizza for close to 9 years now, and let me get one thing straight before anything else, I'm not the kind of person who scares easily. Not after everything I've run into on the job, in strangers' homes, on dark streets at 1 a.m. with nothing but my delivery bag and $20 to my name. I've had a drunk man try to pay me with a live chicken. I once walked into a couple yelling so violently that the gunshot outside barely surprised me. But none of that, and I mean absolutely none of it, compares to what went down in Ridgebrook, Pennsylvania. I swear on everything I've got, I can still hear that man's voice when I shut my eyes, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me rewind. My name's Tucker Hale. I'm 28 now. After dropping out of community college, because I apparently wasn't built for online accounting classes no matter how hard I lied to myself, I ended up taking a job at Slice Street Pizza. It was this little family-owned joint squeezed between a vape store and an abandoned Radio Shack. The entire place smelled like scorched mozzarella and industrial cleaner, and the floor tiles were older than half the teens rolling dough in the back. It barely paid enough, but the tips kept me alive. My manager, Reggie Barnes, had a few commandments he repeated like scripture. Tuck, people get weird after midnight. If you're delivering past 12, leave the engine running, and don't take cash from anyone who can't look you in the eyes. He said it like he'd seen enough to know that we had our share of regular midnight customers, stoners, exhausted nurses from the urgent care, older folks who couldn't sleep, usual stuff. Or so I thought. It was a cold Thursday night in late October, the kind where the air stings your face like needles. I remember because the Phillies had just blown a playoff game and Reggie was pacing like someone had stolen his truck. I was the only driver that night. Bryson, the other guy, called out claiming he'd hurt his back sneezing. Sure, around 11:43 p.m., the store phone rang. Reggie picked up, listened, then gave me the strangest look, not scared, just thrown off. "Yeah, we deliver," he said slowly. "Uh-huh. Right. Address? You sure? Okay. 40 minutes. He hung up and rubbed his neck. "That's a weird one. Where to?" I asked while folding box lids. He read off the slip, 47 Brookside Lane. House at the dead end. No porch light. Large extra crispy pepperoni, and a 2-liter Coke. Cash order. Okay, why is it weird? Reggie exhaled. "That place has been empty since the fire." "What fire?" "Before you got hired. Big one. Whole end of the street went up. They blamed faulty wiring. House hasn't had anyone in it for years. So maybe someone moved in." Reggie didn't look convinced. "Maybe. Or someone screwing with us." Still, he handed me the delivery bag. Just, be careful, Tuck. I shrugged and headed out. I'd been to sketchier places, but something about the way he said, be careful, stuck in my ribs as I drove off. My beaten up 2009 Honda Accord grumbled awake. Fog pressed against the windshield like the whole town was holding its breath. The streets were emptier than usual, and the streetlights blinked like they were dying. When I turned onto Brookside Lane, my GPS freaked out, glitched, spun, then froze. Fantastic, I muttered. Most houses were dark and crumbling. 2 had lights. The rest looked abandoned. At the dead end, my headlights hit the mailbox for 47 Brookside, rusted, bent, buried in cobwebs, and then I saw him. A man stood on the porch, tall, thin, completely still. He was wearing an old delivery jacket, from a chain that shut down in the late 90s. I could make out the faded lettering, hot and ready courier. He didn't wave. Didn't move. Just watched. Okay, creepy, I whispered. I grabbed the pizza and Coke, got out, and walked toward him. The smell of burned wood and something sour hovered in the air. Hey, man, I called out. Order for, I checked the slip. Order for Clay Ford. No response. He just tilted his head slowly, like his neck was made of rusted hinges. It instantly crawled under my skin. Up close, I noticed more. His sleeve was ripped. His pant leg was coated in dried mud that looked wrong. Old. Like it had been buried. And his exposed hand looked burned. I forced a smile. Large pepperoni, extra crispy, and your Coke. Then he finally spoke, and his voice sounded like someone trying to talk through shattered glass. Slow, raspy, unnatural. Did you enjoy your shift? I blinked. Yeah, I guess. You want to take the pizza? He didn't reach for it. Instead, he leaned in a little. Can I ask you something, driver? Sure. His eyes were unsettling. One looked human. The other was cloudy and wrong. Do you ever hear things, he whispered. In the back of your car. When you're alone. Every hair on my body shot straight up. What? He continued. Tiny knocks, from under your seats. Someone whispering your name. No, I said firmly. Look, if you don't want the pizza. He suddenly stepped forward. Too fast. I scrambled back. He pointed behind me with a shaking finger. You shouldn't have come. Not tonight. My breath hitched. Why? His mouth twitched, not a smile, something else. They already placed the order, he murmured, and you're the last one who delivers after midnight. What order? I whispered. He took a ragged breath. When you turn around, do not open the box. A cold gust hit the back of my neck. Why? I asked, but he wasn't answering anymore. Something else was, from behind me, near my car. Knock 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 on my backseat window. I spun around so fast my shoes scraped concrete. Nothing, just my empty car. The man inhaled sharply. They're early. Who's early? He nodded at the pizza box. They follow warmth. The food. A pause. The drivers. I stepped back, pulse pounding. Nope. I'm leaving. As I turned, he grabbed my wrist. His grip was freezing, ice cold. Don't eat it, he whispered. My heart dropped. What? He pointed at the box again. Someone always tries. And they always end up like me. I stared at him. Like you. What happened? His gaze flicked to the side of the house, eyes widening. They're here. Then, knock. Knock. Knock, this time on the hood of my car. I yanked my arm free and bolted. I threw the pizza bag inside and slammed the door. Something hit the back bumper with a solid thud. I didn't look. I just reversed hard, tires screaming as I sped off. The fog swallowed the porch, and that man, behind me. But just before the curve, I swear I heard him shout, "Don't look in the box." Every instinct told me to pull over and breathe, but I kept driving. Every shadow looked like it was moving. At one point, I thought I heard tapping from inside the bag. By the time I reached the shop, I was shaking that I crashed through the back door. Tuck. Reggie said. Jesus, what happened? I tossed the delivery bag on the counter. Open it, I said. That he frowned, lifted the flap, and pulled out the box. It looked normal. Perfectly normal. Tuck, seriously, what? Open it, I whispered. That he rolled his eyes and popped the lid, and immediately stumbled back, hitting the wall. Oh my God. What is that? Inside wasn't pizza anymore. It was rotting. Blackened. Alive, maggots writhed where the cheese should have been. The pepperoni looked like swollen, blistered flesh. The smell hit us like a punch. Reggie gagged. That I turned away, then he saw the inside of the lid. Something had carved a message into the cardboard. Don't deliver again. Reggie stared, pale as chalk. Tuck, who wrote that? My throat tightened. The customer, I said softly, or whatever he was. Reggie slammed the box shut. That's it. No more deliveries. We're closing up. I didn't argue. That I was already grabbing my keys. Yeah. I'm done for tonight. As I walked to my car, a cold wind swept past, carrying the faint smell of smoke and something else, and I heard it, a whisper, broken and cracked. Tucker. I froze, turned slowly. Nothing, just my old Honda under the dead streetlight. This day, I don't know if I imagined it, or if someone was standing just outside the darkness, waiting for the next driver. Because they always wait for the drivers. That I quit 2 weeks later. Haven't delivered a single pizza since, but some nights, especially on cold ones, I still hear a soft tapping on the backseat window. I've been delivering pizzas in Ridgeway, Pennsylvania for almost 5 years, and in that time, I've seen some seriously strange stuff. Drunk dads opening the door in tighty whities. Stoned teenagers handing me change soaked in bomb water. Elderly ladies insisting they didn't order anything, but arguing with me for 10 minutes about coupons anyway, but none, absolutely none, compared to what happened on Hollow Creek Road. People think delivering food is simple. Drive, knock, smile, hand over the pizza, but the job drops you into someone's life for a single moment. You see how people really live, how they talk, what they hide, and if there's one thing I learned early on, it's that you can't judge a house by what it looks like from the outside. Before I get into what happened, you should know who I am. My name's Jalen Rowe. I grew up dirt poor. My mom worked double shifts at a diner. My dad left before I could form a single memory of him. I started delivering pizzas at 17 just to help pay the rent, thinking it'd be temporary. But life has a way of trapping you where you never planned to be. That night started out like any other rainy Friday. Ridgeway gets rain like it's cursed, big, freezing drops that bounce when they hit the road. The kind that keeps your shoes squeaking for hours. Inside Big Jake's Pizza, the ovens hummed. Heat clashed with the storm every time someone opened the front door. My coworker Lori was tossing dough, cursing under her breath. Storm's gonna ruin tips tonight, she said. People don't tip in the rain. They think you're waterproof. I'll be happy if my brakes make it home, I joked, picking up a delivery slip. Order, 1 extra large sausage and onion, 1 garlic knots. Address, 1129 Hollow Creek Road. Customer name, just the street name. I froze. Nobody orders from Hollow Creek Road. That whole stretch is basically forest, swamp, 2 decaying barns, and 1 house, if you can even call it that. People muttered rumors about it, but nobody knew the truth. You good? Lori asked, handing me the boxes. Yeah, I lied. Just, not a fan of that area. She shrugged. Take the company flashlight. Only 2 streetlights out there, and they flicker like they're possessed. Great. Thanks for the pep talk, I muttered, but I took it anyway, pulled my hood up, and stepped out into the needle-like rain. The farther I drove, the darker everything got. Streetlights turned from clean white to a sick, dying yellow. My radio filled with static until the music vanished completely. By the time I turned onto Hollow Creek Road, my GPS screen was flickering like it was on its last breath. The road worsened immediately, cracked asphalt, water pooling in potholes, broken branches scattered everywhere. My wipers fought the storm. Trees lining the road bent inward as if whispering to my car, and then I saw it, the house, set back behind a rusted gate. It looked untouched since the 1940s. The porch sagged like it couldn't hold its own weight. Windows were boarded up from the inside. A single porch light flickered like it was dying. Why is anyone even living here? I muttered, but an order is an order. I parked, grabbed the food, and stepped into the storm. The gate hung half open, squeaking in the wind. Mud swallowed my shoes as I made my way toward the porch. Halfway there, I heard it tap. 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 I stopped dead, not footsteps, nails. Fingernails tapping wood. Hello. I called out, silence, then the tapping stopped entirely, as if whoever or whatever was making the sound heard me. I stepped onto the porch. The boards groaned under me. Before I knocked, a woman's voice floated out, soft, syrupy, excited. Just a moment, sweetheart, something was wrong. Very wrong. Her voice had a shaky, breathless tone, like she was trying to sound gentle but had forgotten how. The doorknob rattled. Turned slowly, then the door opened. She was tall, way too tall, easily over 6 feet. She wore a faded blue dress that clearly wasn't made for someone her size. The seams strained across her shoulders. Her arms were long and pale, veins bulging under the skin. The hair was obviously a wig, dirty blonde and sliding crookedly to one side. Her makeup looked like it had been put on in a moving car. Thick foundation cracked when she smiled. Most of her lipstick was smeared across her cheeks instead of her lips, but the smile itself, that was the worst part. It wasn't human. Oh my, she said. You're much younger than I thought. Extra large sausage and onion, I stammered. Her eyes brightened. Yes, yes, darling. Come inside. You must be soaked. I'm okay right here, I said quickly. Her smile twitched, stiffened, then dropped entirely. You don't want to be rude, do you? She asked, her voice lowering. No, ma'am. Just, company policy. Can't step inside. She repeated the words slowly, like she had to process them. Company policy. Then she laughed. High-pitched. Too high. Come in, sweetheart. I'll give you a tip. A very special tip. She moved toward me. I stepped back. I can take payment right here, I said. Cash or card? Her expression hardened. The sweetness vanished. You boys, she growled. Always think you can stand there and judge me. I'm not judging anyone, I said. Oh, but you are, she hissed. Just like the others. She reached for me. Her hand was huge, fingers unnaturally long. Nails painted red but chipped. One nail missing entirely, leaving a jagged stub. I backed away. She followed. Rain hammered the porch. The light flickered like it might burn out at any second. Ma'am, call me Alora, she whispered. Everyone does. Everyone who comes here. I just need the $31.70, I said. Alora has something better than money. Before I could react, her hand clamped onto my sleeve with terrifying strength. Her grip felt like metal. Get inside, she commanded. Let go. I yanked my arm free. She stumbled but didn't fall. Her wig slipped sideways, revealing uneven patches of dark hair. Her smeared lipstick stretched across her face as she grinned wide. The other boys struggled too, she said. But Alora takes care of them. They scream at first. I threw the pizza bag at her chest and bolted. Behind me, I heard the screen door fly open and heavy footsteps slam onto the porch. "Come back here." Her voice was booming now, deep, masculine, furious. "You haven't thanked me yet." Mud nearly sucked my shoes off as I sprinted to the car. My keys slipped from my hands twice. Rain blinded me. My heartbeat roared in my ears, but I still heard her, charging after me. That I dove into the car and slammed the door just as she reached the driveway. Her hand slapped the back window so hard the glass rattled, the engine sputtered, then finally kicked on. That I reversed with enough force to nearly hit a tree. She stood in the middle of the road, drenched, wig in one hand, makeup running like bloody streaks, dress clinging to her massive frame. "You boys always beg for your tip when I'm done with you," she shrieked. That I didn't look back again. That I drove straight to the Shell station on Route 219, parked under the bright lights, and called the police. With trembling hands, they went to the house, found no woman. No wig. No makeup or dress, but in a back room, they found a rack of delivery uniforms from all over the county, all clean, all pressed. DoorDash, Papa John's, Domino's, local shops all sized for young men, and in the corner, a glass jar filled with driver's licenses that I recognized too immediately. Guys I knew, guys who'd gone missing last year. Police told me to go home and keep quiet. Small towns hide things. Always have. That I quit the next morning. Now I work in a bland office, drinking burnt coffee while customers yell at me through headsets that it's dull. It's safe, but sometimes, late at night, when the rain slams the windows and the lights flicker, I swear I hear her voice again, sweet at first, then deep, cracked, starving. "You never got your tip, sweetheart, and God knows I never wanted." I never imagined my whole life would spiral over a damn pizza delivery. That I'm Irvin Walker. Back then I was 22, living on the west side of Clover Ridge, Indiana. One of those small Midwestern towns where everyone waves at you in public even if they talk trash behind your back. That why life wasn't special. I wasn't a hero or some troubled kid with a dramatic past. Just a guy paying rent, trying to keep bills from burying me. And yeah, I worked deliveries for Rusty Brick Pizza, a beat-up family shop with flickering neon and a giant fiberglass pizza slice on the roof that squeaked like it wanted to die every time the wind hit it. People think delivering pizza is all jokes and tips and melted cheese. But anyone who works the late shift knows the truth. The real strange stuff starts when the streets empty out. Before I jump into the night everything unraveled, I need to tell you about the people involved. Otherwise none of it makes sense. First, Rado, real name, Radoslav Rodovakic. A Serbian immigrant, maybe pushing 68. Skinny but tough in that wiry, old engine sort of way. Spoke like life had smacked him around with a metal pipe, but he still managed to smile anyway. "Irvin, my boy," he'd say. "Oven is life. Oven is truth. Oven shows character." He was rough around the edges, funny, warm. He'd slap my shoulder every shift, tell me stories from his past, stories that sounded more like scenes from a war documentary than something a pizza cook should be saying. He treated me like a son. Honestly, better than my father ever did. Second, his son Luca, not the charming type. Luca rarely smiled, never joked, and explained absolutely nothing. Built like a refrigerator with arms, tattoos crawling up his neck, voice so low it rattled the cash register. Not evil, just ice cold, all business, always watching the door, always checking his phone. People whispered that Luca was into serious side business. I didn't poke around. Wasn't my place. I needed money. Rado kept things comfortable. Third, me, the guy who didn't want trouble, but Rusty Brick wasn't just a pizza joint. It was where certain people slipped around the back, murmured quick words to Luca, grabbed padded envelopes, and vanished. I wasn't stupid. But I stuck to my motto, not my stuff, not my problem. Spoiler, I was painfully wrong. That it was a Friday, one of those nights the entire town felt loud, drunk, and buzzing. The air smelled like beer, burnt rubber, and someone's backyard grill. A typical Midwestern chaos evening that we were drowning in orders. Irvin. Order ready. Ticket 214. Rado hollered from the kitchen, sliding a box toward me. I grabbed the pizza bag, my keys, and the receipt. Normal stop. Just another night, except it wasn't, because just before I stepped out the door, Luca blocked my way. Take this too, he said. That he pushed a padded envelope across the counter. Thick and heavy, but not like the weed-smelling ones I'd quietly dropped off before. This one felt solid, metallic. Dangerous. Where's it going? I asked. Same place as the pizza, he said. Don't open it. Don't ask. Don't talk. Rado overheard. He froze. Didn't say a word, but he shot Luca a look I had never seen from him before. Fear, real fear. Irvin, he said quietly, if something feels wrong, you leave. Leave fast. You hear me, boy? I nodded. I should have listened harder. When I turned onto Bourbon Hollow Road, my stomach dropped. There was no house, only an abandoned manufacturing plant, windows shattered, metal siding torn open like something had clawed through it. The place had been shut down since '98 after a fire killed 3 workers. Nobody lived there. Nobody ordered pizza there. I checked the slip again. Correct address. Correct time. Damn it, I muttered, staring at the dark shell of the building. The wind howled through the broken windows like the place was breathing. It smelled like rust, old smoke, and memories that refused to stay buried. Nope, I whispered. Hell no. Not doing this. I grabbed my phone. No signal. Of course. Bourbon Hollow was a dead zone. I tried calling the shop using the radio phone in my van. No answer. Tried again. Still nothing, and then the lights inside the abandoned factory flickered on, one by one, as if someone was walking deeper inside carrying a flashlight. That's when I heard it, a metallic thunk, 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 like heavy boots on steel grates. Someone was in there. Rado's warning echoed in my head. If something is wrong, you leave. You leave fast. And something was wrong, very, very wrong. I stepped inside anyway. Dust thickened the air. Each footstep echoed like the whole place was calling back to me. Hello? I called. Pizza delivery. My voice cracked embarrassingly, like I was 13 again. Somewhere in the dark, someone chuckled. Not a friendly laugh, more like the kind someone makes when they've been expecting you. Back here, a raspy voice said. Bring the goods. My hands tightened around the pizza bag. I forced myself forward. A lantern hung from a beam, throwing a sick orange glow across the room. 3 men stood there, huge, silent, masked. Behind them, tied to a support beam, bruised, bleeding, gagged, Rado. My heart stopped. His face was swollen, shirt soaked with blood, one eye barely open. But he saw me. He shook his head violently. A warning. Don't bring it here. One of the masked men growled. Put the envelope on the crate. I backed up. No, I'm not involved in this. I'm just the delivery guy. One of them lifted a massive gun. Rado screamed into his gag, thrashing and trying to break free, but before I could move, before I could even breathe, gunshots exploded behind me. 3 shots. The masked men dropped instantly, collapsing like lifeless slabs of meat. One fell right at my feet, blood spreading fast. I turned. Luca stood there, chest rising and falling, gun still smoking. Get him loose, he barked. I ran to Rado, hands trembling as I fumbled with the knots. When I got him free, he collapsed onto me, wheezing. Papa, Luca whispered, voice cracking for the first time in his life. Then came shouting. Footsteps. More men entering the building, a whole crew. Luca, I hissed. We need to get the hell out. He lifted his father like nothing. Come, he growled. Now. We sprinted through the factory, ducking behind rusted machinery as bullets tore through the walls. The place erupted into chaos, gunfire, shouting, metal ringing like a war zone that I didn't look back that we burst out a side door and dove into Luca's truck. He floored it, tires screaming against broken pavement. Nobody said a word. Rado coughed blood into a towel. Luca's jaw clenched, tears mixing with sweat. And me? I shook so hard I thought my bones might vibrate out of my skin. By sunrise, Rusty Brick Pizza was closed indefinitely, lights off, neon slice removed, gone. Luca met me in a diner parking lot at dawn. His eyes were red, exhausted, devastated. He handed me a thick brown envelope. "Take this," he said. "You leave Clover Ridge today. Don't come back. Don't ask about me. Don't ask about my father. What happened to Rado?" I whispered. Luca swallowed hard. "He's gone." My stomach fell. I'm sorry, I choked. "You were good to him," Luca said quietly. "That's why you're going to stay alive." He squeezed my shoulder. "Go, Irvin. You didn't see anything." And that was it. That I left, moved 3 states away, started a quiet, empty life, never checked the news, never asked questions, never set foot in another pizza shop again. Sometimes, late at night, I swear I can still smell the ovens, hear Rado laughing, and sometimes, I hear those gunshots all over again. I never imagined that delivering pizza would turn into the kind of memory that haunts you years later. But here I am, still jerking awake some nights with my heart pounding like it's trying to punch its way out of my chest. That I grew up in a tiny coal town outside Warrington, West Virginia, the kind of place where the mountains squeeze the houses so tight the fog practically settles inside your lungs. My childhood wasn't anything tragic or remarkable. My mom worked double shifts at a nursing home, and my dad drove freight until he slipped a disc and never really walked the same again. Work was my normal. My first real job was washing dishes at Ruby's Junction when I was 15. By 19 I was delivering pizzas for Smoky Hill Pizza, a small independent shop wedged between a laundromat and a pawn store. It was nothing fancy, but it paid well enough, and the unpredictable tips kept things interesting. If I'm being honest, that job kept me out of the mines like most guys I grew up with. By 24, I was the senior delivery driver. I knew every back road and forgotten gravel path the GPS refused to acknowledge. I dropped off pizzas to cabins, converted barns, rundown trailers, and RVs propped up on cinder blocks. I loved it. Still do. People always ask why, and I always tell them, a warm car and a hot pizza can carry you farther than most folks think. That my boss, Rick Hawthorne, had bought 2 used delivery cars the year before, nothing special, but they had heated seats and insulated back compartments that kept the food hot for nearly 40 minutes. That made us the only place willing to deliver way out in the backwoods. Other pizza joints said it wasn't worth the danger or the drive. Rick didn't care. If someone's willing to pay for a pizza, he'd say, "You deliver the damn pizza." And that's what I did. One of our regular stops was Ridgeway Recovery Home, a halfway house for guys fresh out of jail or rehab. Most people avoided it, but some of the kindest customers I ever met lived there. Hard lives, hard stories, big hearts. Half the time they tipped better than the wealthy neighborhoods. They treated me like a friend, but the night I'm about to tell you, that night was different. That night changed my life. It was early October, cold enough that each breath showed in the air. My shift started at 5. Fridays were always chaos at Smoky Hill Pizza thanks to Rick's buy one get one deal. Around 8:45 p.m., when things finally slowed down, a single order popped up, 1 large meat lovers, extra cheese. Delivery to Ridgeway Recovery Home. That I remember thinking it was odd. They usually ordered several pizzas, not just one. But people have off days. I slid the pizza into the heated bag, tossed it in the back seat, and started the 25-minute drive through forest roads so dark the trees swallowed the moon. Usually, Ridgeway was buzzing even late at night. Guys joking around on the porch, talking about sports, smoking. But this time, when I pulled in, everything was silent. Only one porch light glowed. No movement, no laughter, nothing but a young guy standing alone beside the steps that he wasn't someone I recognized. Early 20s, thin, jittery, hands trembling that I figured maybe he was detoxing that I stepped out with the pizza. Evening, man, I said. Gotta meet lovers for, I checked the slip, for Brendan. The guy snapped his head up, too fast. Yeah, that's me, he muttered, his voice cracked like a teenager trying to sound tougher than he felt. When I got closer, I really saw him, huge pupils, skin pale as paper, sweat on his forehead despite the cold. His phone kept buzzing non-stop. Buzz. Buzz. Buzz that I tried to break the tension. Popular tonight, I joked that he didn't even fake a smile. He just looked at me and whispered, "I'm really sorry, man." Before the words even sank in, he lunged. This wasn't the clumsy grab of someone drunk or high. This was pure panic-driven desperation. He crashed into me, ripped the pizza box from my hands, shoved it into my chest, and started swinging, wild, frantic punches with no direction that I shielded my head. "What are you doing?" I yelled, but he wasn't listening. Tears streamed down his face, and he kept repeating, I'm sorry, between blows. Then he shoved me hard enough that I fell onto the gravel. My elbow scraped open, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. By the time I got up, he was sprinting toward my delivery car. "Hey!" I shouted, stumbling after him. "Don't!" But he had already yanked the door open. And like a complete idiot, I had left the keys in the ignition. We trusted the guys there. We never had issues. I got comfortable. He jumped inside, slammed the door, and the engine roared. I ran toward the car, waving my arms. "Stop. You don't even know." Too late that he hit the gas. The Prius jerked, swerved, fishtailed down the road like a terrified animal. Inside, he screamed, not like a thief, but like a frightened kid who had no idea what he'd just done. The car tore down the street. I heard the crash before I reached the road, a brutal, metal-on-metal collision that echoed through the trees. Then another. Then silence. A couple Ridgeway guys burst out onto the porch. "What the hell was that?" One yelled. I tried to explain, "Some guy, Brendan, he jumped me. He stole my car." They looked at each other. "Ain't no Brendan here." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" He said, "There's nobody by that name living here, man." The distant glow of hazard lights flickered through the woods. That told me all I needed to know. Police and EMTs arrived within minutes. When I reached the scene, the sight of the mangled cars nearly made me collapse. My delivery car was crushed between two parked trucks, the hood folded in like crushed foil. They had already pulled him, Brendan, out. Or what was left of him. His right leg was twisted in a way that made my stomach turn. His left leg wasn't there at all. I threw up in the weeds. Later, the cops explained everything. His real name wasn't Brendan. It was Coy Mercer. He wasn't living at the halfway house. He had walked 10 miles to get there. He'd been out of jail for 4 days, drug possession, petty theft, resisting arrest. A chronic meth addict, not sober, not stable, not well. Earlier that night, he'd fought with his ex-girlfriend on the phone. She'd moved on. Had a new life. A new boyfriend. Something in him broke. He didn't steal the car for money or to run away. He thought driving off would somehow fix everything. He didn't even know how to drive. It wasn't a vehicle to him, it was an escape, a way to chase something already gone. He paid the price. They amputated both legs, one above the knee, one below. When he woke up, he kept repeating, "I didn't mean to hurt the pizza guy. I didn't mean to hurt him." And strangely, I believed him. Why boss showed up shaking his head. Of all the damn nights, of all the cars, he muttered, but he wasn't angry with me. Ain't your fault, kid. No one expects someone to go full Grand Theft Auto, West Virginia edition. The cops cleared me. Insurance covered most of the damage. I took a week off, partly for injuries, mostly because I couldn't stop shaking whenever headlights flashed, and here's what surprises people, I didn't quit, that I didn't avoid Ridgeway, that I didn't start carrying a weapon, because that night didn't teach me to fear people, it taught me to understand them. Coy wasn't a monster. He was a wounded man making a horrible decision in a moment of heartbreak and confusion. What he did nearly killed me, sure, but hatred never felt right. That I even visited him once before he was transferred back to prison for parole violations and vehicle theft. He wouldn't look at me. Why'd you come? He whispered. That I shrugged. I guess I needed to know you were still you. He cried. I sat with him because I didn't know what else to do. People think the world is full of evil. But most of the time, it's just hurting people making catastrophic mistakes. That I eventually became manager of a newer Smoky Hill pizza branch across the county. I still take late-night deliveries sometimes. I still check behind me before getting out. And I sure as hell never leave keys in the ignition. When new drivers ask why I still deliver to Ridgeway, I tell them the truth. One bad night doesn't define every night. One broken person doesn't mean everyone's broken, and one desperate man doesn't mean you stop showing up for the folks who count on you. Sometimes, when I deliver there now, the older residents hand me a plate, pat the chair next to them, and say, "Tell us again about the night a pizza almost killed you." And I do, because that night became part of who I am, a reminder of why I keep going, and why I'll never forget the night a delivery went completely wrong, but somehow made me understand people better. I never planned to stay in Raven Hollow once high school was over. If you'd asked the 17-year-old me, I would have given the same answer every kid gives when they grow up in a fading Pennsylvania town. One day I'm leaving this place and never coming back, but life doesn't bend to teenage promises. By 25, I was still stuck there, still broke, still living in a sagging duplex on Ashbury Road with a useless electric heater and a landlord who only replied to texts if you added urgent in all caps. I worked nights at Firebrick Pizza, the only place open past 10 p.m. for miles. And honestly, I didn't hate the job. Driving through the back roads with a hot pizza riding shotgun was the only peaceful part of my day. The tips weren't bad either, though I think people tipped out of guilt more than anything else. Like they knew they'd never want to be the one delivering food at midnight through woods where even cell service refused to exist. That I'm Jalen Reeve, by the way, and this story, it's about the night I realized Raven Hollow had been hiding something alive, something breathing, out there in those trees, something I should have paid attention to. I was halfway through wiping down the prep table when the shop phone started buzzing. Our manager, Laura, didn't look up from her laptop. "Jalen, answer that," she said, smacking her gum loud enough to drown the radio. I hit speaker. "Firebrick Pizza, this is Jalen. What can I get started for you?" What came through the line sounded wrong, like the caller was standing beside the phone, talking past it instead of into it. A man's voice, shaky and breathless. "Large pepperoni, extra sauce. Please hurry." The "please hurry" made my skin crawl. He didn't sound hungry. He sounded scared. "Sure thing, man. What's the address?" I asked. Silence, then he said, "Hollow Creek Station. The old one." Back in trance. My stomach dropped. "Oh, come on. That place is condemned. We don't deliver out there." Laura overheard. "If it's inside the delivery radius, we deliver. Corporate rule." I muted the phone. "Laura, that building's boarded up. Cops taped it off last year when some squatters started a fire." She didn't even look up. "Still in the radius. You want the hours or not?" I clenched my jaw. "Fine." Unmuted. "Sir, can I get a name?" The voice answered in a whisper, almost whimpering. "Cole. Please. I don't have much time." Then the call disconnected. That I'll be real with you. I almost said screw it and refused the run. But rent was late, my car insurance was overdue, and I'd already maxed out a credit card on groceries. Skipping a delivery meant losing the tip and getting written up. So I packed the pizza, grabbed 2 garlic dips, checked my pocket for the pepper spray I always carried, and headed out into the freezing night. Before I stepped outside, Laura called, "Hey, don't go inside that building. Just drop the food and leave. These rural weirdos act up sometimes." "Trust me," I said. "I'm not trying to end up on the news." But even then, something felt wrong. The name Cole wouldn't leave my mind. Neither would that trembling hurry. It didn't feel like a request. It felt like a warning. Driving western Pennsylvania roads after midnight is its own kind of horror. Your headlights barely touch the trees. The woods feel aware. Listening. I shut off the radio because every song made the silence worse. It felt like the forest was swallowing sound. Then, 15 minutes in, I passed the graffitied "Welcome to Raven Hollow" sign. Someone tags "Turn back on it every Halloween," and turned toward Hollow Creek. That's when I heard it. A deep, vibrating boom, not thunder. Not a gunshot. Not a backfiring car, something lower. Stretched out. Wrong. Then it came again, louder. Boom. My steering wheel shook under my hands. What the hell? I whispered that at first I figured some idiot was blowing up homemade fireworks in the woods. But the longer I listened, the more I realized the sound wasn't coming from somewhere. It was coming from everywhere. A warped mixture of an animal's bellow and metal screaming, like a dying generator imitating a roar. I slowed, rolled down the window. Cold air stung my face. Boom. Something between a roar and a siren. I flinched so hard I elbowed the steering wheel. Nope. Nope. No way. I was about to turn around when I spotted a cardboard sign taped to a tree. Soggy. Handwritten in black marker, "Delivery this WAYME." Throat tightened. That wasn't a prank. Pranks don't feel like being watched. I drove on. Hollow Creek Station wasn't a station anymore. It used to be a World War II munition storage bunker built into the hillside. Concrete doors, rusting vents, all abandoned. My grandfather used to talk about soldiers training there. Then it shut down. Then teens found it. Then addicts. Then police. But no matter what stories changed, nobody ever lived there. So why did someone order pizza? When I pulled up, the woods went dead silent. Even the bugs stopped. I got out, pizza bag gripped tight. My breath drifted toward the bunker like something was pulling it. Front door, chained shut. Back entrance, an iron door cracked open an inch. Lamplight flickering inside, in and out. I whispered. "Don't be stupid." I knocked. "Cole. Your food's here." Something shifted inside. Not footsteps, more like fabric brushing concrete, or nails. A voice answered, trembling, "Door's not locked. Please come in." My pulse spiked. But he didn't sound threatening. He sounded terrified. So, stupidly, I pushed the door open. A rush of cold, metal-tasting air hit me. My flashlight cut through dimness. Someone had cleaned the bunker, covered graffiti, cleared trash. A mattress sat in the corner. Someone was living here. On the ground, a laptop hooked to a PA speaker, wires everywhere. The screen read, monster_roar_test_final. Wave. So the roar had come from here. Then, a crunch behind me. I spun around. A man in his mid-30s stood there, shivering, cheeks sunken, eyes bloodshot. He leaned on the wall, barely standing. "You're the pizza guy," he whispered. "Yeah. Large pepperoni." I lifted the bag. He let out a broken laugh. "You shouldn't have come." "You called me," I said. "Are you hurt?" He lifted a trembling hand. Something rustled deeper inside the bunker. A long, dragging scrape, like claws. I stepped back. "Dude, what is that?" Cole looked at me with a fear no human should ever have. "It followed me," he whispered. "And now it knows you're here." "Oh hell no," I muttered. Then the roar came again, this time from the tunnel, not the laptop, not a speaker. Real. So loud my knees nearly buckled, dust fell from the ceiling. The metal door behind me slammed shut from the force. Cole collapsed, hands over his ears. "Don't look at it," he begged. "Don't." Too late. Something moved in the tunnel, bigger than any person, crawling, long limbs scraping the floor, fingers, or something like fingers, curling around the doorway. My breath caught. A shadow stretched across the floor, spilling like ink. What is that?" I choked out. Cole whispered, "It thinks we're trespassing." Then it lunged forward, not fully, just enough for me to see its face that I wish I never had. Its eyes didn't glow, they reflected, like an animal's. But there was a depth to them. A shape. Like it understood what staring meant. Its mouth opened. Rows of jagged, broken glass teeth. A twisting, unnatural tongue. The sound it made wasn't meant for human ears, not a roar. A warning. A message. "Don't come back." Instinct kicked in. Cole seized my arm. "Run." We didn't argue. We didn't breathe. We sprinted. Crashed into the metal door. It burst open. Ice-cold air slapped my face. The forest erupted, branches snapping, wind sucking inward like something massive was inhaling. We bolted toward my car. Halfway there, the roar shattered the night again. Boom. "Are you?" My ears rang. My vision shook. "Go." Cole screamed. We dove into the car. I fumbled the keys. The engine refused to start. "Come on. Come on." Cole's voice cracked. "It's coming." The engine finally caught. I slammed the gas. The car skidded on frost, tires screaming. The woods blurred into streaks of shadow. In the rearview mirror, something emerged from the bunker, tall, twisting, too thin, too long. A silhouette that didn't belong on Earth. The roar followed us for half a mile, but it never chased. It didn't need to. We got the message. I dropped Cole at a gas station. He refused a hospital, refused police. He just murmured. I thought the sound would scare it. Something loud enough to bluff it, but it only made it angry. "What is it?" I whispered. Cole looked at me like the answer was obvious. "People disappear in Raven Hollow every year. Hunters. Campers. Runaways. They blame animals or weather, but I think that thing's been here longer than the town. Longer than all of us." He stepped out and walked into the dark. I never saw him again. The next morning, Laura asked why I looked exhausted. "You wouldn't believe me," I muttered. I quit Firebrick Pizza a week later, moved to Pittsburgh the next month, but some nights, when a truck brake screeches or a distant train groans across the wind, I hear it again, that impossible sound, boom. Row, and every part of me knows, it didn't stay behind. It just let me go. I can pinpoint the exact night everything in my life nearly got sliced open like a cheap pumpkin on the side of a highway. Everyone jokes about pizza delivery like it's some easy gig for teenagers who need gas money, but I've been grinding at it since I was 19, through late shifts, ice storms, awful roads, and drunk college kids who tipped like they were allergic to money. By the time all this went down, I was 27 and still delivering. Name's Jarek Nolan. Yeah, unusual, I know. Mom pulled it from some Polish branch of the family tree I never met. Most people just called me Jay. I grew up in Flagstaff, Arizona, a town that looks warm and cozy in tourist brochures but feels like the desert's trying to erase it half the time. Rent was a nightmare. Bills came in waves. Delivering pizza wasn't my dream job, but it was the one thing keeping the lights on. Dad dipped when I was 8, Mom worked double shifts at a retirement home, and I learned early that if you want something, you fight for it, even if it drains you dry. That night, the one that tore apart everything I thought I knew, started completely ordinary. A little after 9 p.m., the sky was already pitch black. I was working at Red Cinder Pizza, a cramped little family shop wedged between a laundromat and a vape store. The smell of burnt cheese and garlic had soaked so deep into my clothes that it had basically become my signature scent. Jair, order up, Aldo barked, my boss, a perpetually annoyed 40-something who acted like life owed him an apology. That I tightened my apron. Where's it heading? South Rim Road, he grumbled while punching the ticket. For meat lovers. Paid cash. Already tipped 10 online. Don't screw it up. I raised an eyebrow. South Rim past 89. Seriously? Aldo groaned dramatically. People live everywhere, man. Deliver the food. Stop being paranoid. I wished he was right. I delivered to all kinds of places, sketchy motels, campground fires, trailers half sinking in mud, but South Rim Road? Never liked it. It stretched deep into dark pine forest, and locals whispered about a strange compound at the end of it. Nobody knew who lived there, just that it used to be bikers or ex-gang members or something worse. That I grabbed the pizza bags and walked toward my beat-up Honda in the back lot, an '09 rust bucket that shook like it had tremors every time I hit 45 mph. As I opened the door, my coworker Lenny poked his head outside. Yo, Jay. What? He made a face. South Rim Road. Dude, that place is cursed. Not my choice, I muttered. He walked up, lowering his voice. You got enough gas? Last guy who delivered out there stalled for an hour. Said he heard messed up stuff in the woods. Perfect. Thanks for the sunshine and positivity, I grumbled, just saying. If someone waves you down, don't stop. Folks out there are not the friendly type. I shrugged. As long as they pay, I don't care. God, I should have cared. That I slid into my car, started it. It coughed like an elderly smoker but finally rumbled alive. Heat on, playlist on, pizzas behind me, routine stuff. That I drove into the dark. Arizona nights feel different, dry, silent, almost suspicious. Even the wind feels like it's sneaking around. A few minutes in, my phone pinged with the address, 2310 South Rim Road. The number felt fake, too perfect. Nobody out there had normal addresses. They just built whatever wherever. But customers screw up addresses all the time, so I kept going. 0.5 minutes. 10. 15. Not a single car. Just tall pines squeezing in close, shadows shifting like someone pacing the tree line. My stomach tightened. But I kept driving. Broke people don't get to follow their instincts. Then something shiny appeared across the dirt road. That I leaned forward. What the hell? Metal. A chain. No, spike strips right across the road. No cop car. No warning lights. Just a trap waiting quietly. Ah, come on, I breathed, slamming the brakes, but my tires hit it anyway. Pop. My Honda jerked sideways, the wheel vibrating violently before the engine sputtered and died. Silence wrapped around me. That I stepped out slowly, gravel crunching under my boots. The spikes weren't police grade, they were homemade, rusty, jagged, and vicious. Okay, relax, I muttered. Call Aldo. Just call someone. I reached for my phone, and froze. A whisper floated from the trees. Deep. Male. Spanish, ahí está, there he is. Another voice, closer. Angrier, agarenlo, don't let him run. My stomach dropped straight through my shoes. Oh hell no. 4 figures burst from the woods. Masks. Dark clothes. Weapons catching the moonlight, a machete, a pipe, a taped-up bat, and the biggest guy carried a sharpened shovel. The big one pointed at me. Core, he bellowed. Run. He didn't have to tell me twice. That I sprinted into the woods. Branches whipped my face. Air burned in my throat. Their footsteps thundered behind me, Deaton Ganlo. Cortenlo. Vivo. My heart was pounding so loud I couldn't hear anything else. Time stretched. Fear does that, makes minutes feel like whole hours that I tripped down a wet slope, rolled hard, and slammed into open dirt. My ribs screamed. Then I saw a light through the trees, a flickering white glow. A lamp? No, a farmhouse security light that I stumbled toward it. The clearing held a rusty tractor, a leaning fence, and a squat barn. Something grunted inside. Animals them why only options, run deeper into the woods or hide in the barn and pray the owner wasn't worse than the guys chasing me at that point. A farmer was practically an angel that I slipped into the barn and froze. Pigs. Giant pigs. A dozen of them, they glared at me like I'd just insulted their entire lineage. Hey, don't mind me, I whispered. Not here to start anything. Behind me, shouts echoed from the forest that I dove into an empty pen and crouched behind a stack of hay. The place smelled like dirt, ammonia, and animal breath. My eyes watered. A huge sow waddled over, at least 500 pounds, sniffed me loudly, then sat right in front of me, like she was shielding me. Good girl, I whispered. Please don't crush me. The barn door slammed open, boot steps. Voices, entro aquí. No lo vio, puerco estúpido. The pigs responded like an angry army, squealing, lunging, biting, refusing to let the men pass. Malditos animals, regresimos. Trimos luz después. Their footsteps retreated. The door shut, silence returned that I didn't move for hours. My knees were numb, my back stiff, my breath barely a whisper. When dawn finally slipped through the cracks, the pigs stirred, the barn door creaked open again. A man stepped inside, late 60s maybe, gray beard, flannel shirt, tired eyes. He spotted me instantly. Son, he said calmly, you look like hell on foot. I swallowed. Sir. Something happened. Men, masks, weapons, they set up spike strips, chased me through the woods. He raised a hand. Come inside. Coffee first. Talk second. Inside his old farmhouse, I told him everything that he listened quietly, then exhaled. You're lucky, he said slowly. Why? I whispered, 'cause those folks ain't just thieves or gang trash. They run something much uglier. My chest tightened. What do you mean? He met my eyes. You didn't walk into a robbery, he said. You walked straight into a hunt. A hunt? He nodded grimly. They think killing outsiders protects their land. Their words. Not mine. They lure cars. Strip them. Chase whoever makes it out. Ice slid down my spine. Did they mistake me for someone else? Doesn't matter. They saw you. That's enough. And they'll come back. He didn't answer right away. Yes, he said softly. But not for you. Then for who? He stared through the window. For whoever's unlucky enough to drive that road next. He drove me back to town. I didn't go back to Red Cinder Pizza. Didn't pack a bag. Didn't explain that I grabbed my wallet, my backpack, and walked straight to the bus station. Bought the first ticket out. Aldo spammed my phone. Where are you? Bro, answer. What happened to the car? I blocked him. That I left Arizona that day. No goodbyes, no closure, but one thing still gnaws at me. Those men didn't yell, get the pizza guy. They yelled, get him. Like I was specifically the one they wanted, and deep down, I know that order wasn't for the pizzas at all. That I think the order was for me. I never imagined a simple pizza delivery shift could permanently change how I look at people. But that night on Red Bud Lane, it tore something out of me. Something I don't think I'll ever get back that I should probably start before everything went sideways, so you understand why I ignored every red flag, why I kept brushing off my own instincts with, "Relax, man. You're just being paranoid," even though I absolutely wasn't. That I'd been delivering for Rusty's Pizza in Cedar Ridge, Missouri, for a little over 3 years. It's the kind of small Midwest town where the locals leave their Christmas lights up until February. Everyone waves at each other, and some old guy at the diner is always going on about how teenagers don't work hard like they did back in '85. My name's Rowan, and I'd been trying to rebuild my life after 2 brutal years. First, my mom passed unexpectedly. Then my uncle kicked me out, said he needed the basement back, even though he literally never used it. I ended up sleeping in my car for months until I scraped together enough cash to rent a tiny 1-bedroom above a laundromat. The whole place vibrated whenever someone ran the dryers downstairs. Delivering pizzas wasn't my dream job, but it kept the electricity on, barely. Rusty's itself wasn't much to look at. The sign flickered constantly, the parking lot was full of cracks, and when it rained, a puddle formed near the front door big enough to drown a raccoon. But people loved our food, especially our double cheese meltdown. And our delivery range stretched way farther than any other place in town. More distance meant more tips, and more weirdos. My manager, Hollis, always joked, "Night shifts where the real money is, Rowan." Then he'd add, "and sometimes the real creeps." I used to laugh. I don't anymore. The night everything happened, June 14, 2023, was thick with humidity. The kind where your shirt clings to you even when you're standing still. I'd been running back-to-back orders and was finally on my last one. My feet were killing me, and the delivery bags felt like cinder blocks digging into my shoulders. Then I saw the order on the screen: 0.6 large pizzas, 0.3 sides of barbecue wings, 0.2 garlic bread loaves, 0.4 sodas, total, $142.67. The address, 3289 Red Bud Lane. That I groaned. Oh hell no. Red Bud Lane is one of those empty back roads where the streetlights stop and people's dogs bark at absolutely nothing. Most drivers avoided it at night. Not because it was dangerous, just because it was creepy as hell, but a big order meant a big tip, and I needed every dollar. Rowan. Hollis called. "Red Bud's yours, then you're done." "Of course," I muttered. "Throw me right into the wolves." He just laughed. "Relax. Folks out there are just eccentric." I grabbed the food, loaded the trunk, and headed out. The sky was pitch black by the time I hit the outskirts of town. Houses grew sparse. Trees crowded the road. My GPS kept glitching, telling me to turn left, even though the left side was solid forest. Eventually it said, arrived at destination, even though the only thing I saw was a long gravel driveway leading into darkness. Perfect, I mumbled. Classic horror movie setup. I eased down the driveway. My headlights flashed over rusted farm equipment, a bent mailbox, and what looked like an old truck hidden under a tarp. Finally, a house came into view. 2 stories, worn-out siding, sitting way back from the road. Not a single light on. Every other house around had porch lamps glowing warmly, except this one. It sat like a shadow. My phone buzzed, new delivery instructions, use the back door. Knock 3 times. That I stared at the screen. Okay, that's beyond weird. But whatever, it was almost midnight, I wanted to go home, and I needed the tip. That I followed a narrow weed-covered path to the backyard. The back door looked ancient, swollen wood, peeling paint, rusty handle. I knocked 3 times, the door flew open instantly. The man standing there stared at me with unsettling intensity. Mid-50s, unkempt beard, greasy hair, plaid shirt hanging off him. "You're late," he rasped. "It's 11:52, I said. "Google said 26 minutes. That's pretty solid for us." He didn't smile. "Bring it inside." I swallowed. Company policy says I can't go into someone's home. I can hand it to you here. He stepped back, revealing a dark hallway behind him. I need help carrying it. My back's bad. He slapped his lower spine theatrically, just set it on the kitchen counter. I hesitated. Something smelled wrong. Not rotten, but chemical. Sharp. Metallic. Sir, I really can't. If you leave it here, he cut in sharply, I'll report incomplete service. You want your paycheck docked? He had me cornered. Rusty's policy was strict. Fine, I said quietly. Just to the kitchen. He led me down the hallway, but not toward where kitchens usually were. He walked straight toward a closed door at the very end. Isn't the kitchen, it's downstairs, he said flatly. My family's waiting. My steps slowed. Didn't know folks kept kitchens in their basements. I joked weakly, we like privacy. The word we crawled over my skin. How about I just leave the food here, I suggested. Your family can grab it. He snapped around. No, the word cracked like a whip. My heart hammered. Why not? They can't come up. His eyes didn't blink. Okay. I'm not trying to cause a problem, I murmured. That he took a deliberate step toward me, blocking the only exit. My guests don't like waiting, he whispered. Especially not for new people. New people. My stomach dropped. That I pulled out my phone, pretending to check something, and hit call on my first contact, my cousin Lacey. It rang. Voicemail. Fine, he just needed to hear a voice. Hey Lace, I said loudly. I'm at that Red Bud Lane drop-off. Super dark out here. Anyway, you close by? Customer needs help carrying stuff downstairs. I'm by the shed, you'll see it. The man froze. That I kept talking. Yeah, hurry. Should only take you a minute. His face twisted between panic and anger. Hang up, he hissed. What? Hang up. I ended the voicemail casually, knowing he'd heard everything. The man stepped back, just a bit. Enough space for me to shift sideways. Then footsteps echoed deeper inside. A voice boomed. Where's the girl? You said she was coming down. Girl? I'm a guy. Another man appeared, taller, broader, bald, wearing stained coveralls. His eyes crawled over me like I was livestock. She had company, the first man snapped. She called someone. We can deal with company, the bald man growled. No one comes out here this late. My blood turned to ice. Yeah, well, she's leaving, the first man muttered angrily. That was my chance. That I lunged for the door, bolted outside, sprinted to my car, and peeled out so fast gravel exploded behind me. I didn't breathe until I hit the main road. Then I saw it in my mirror. The garage door was half open, inside hung clear plastic sheets. Zip ties littered the floor. Something metallic gleamed under a workbench. My stomach churned. I called 911. What followed still haunts me. Police arrived fast. They told me to wait for my statement. When officers went inside, one stumbled back out and threw up on the gravel. I'll never forget that. Eventually a detective approached, silver mustache, exhausted eyes. Son, he said softly, you saved yourself tonight. And probably stopped something worse. What was in the basement? I whispered. That he hesitated. A soundproof room. Metal rings in the concrete. Chains. A drained bathtub. Ropes. Chloroform. And IDs from 3 missing women over the past year and a half. My stomach turned. All of them, he added, were last seen delivering food. I felt myself go cold. What about the men? They ran. But we'll find them. They know we're onto them now. I wrapped my arms around myself, shivering. They knew it was my last delivery, I muttered. How? Detective Harris's expression darkened. That's the terrifying part, he said. They've been watching delivery apps, tracking drivers, learning patterns. They planned everything. He looked straight at me. You weren't random. A shiver crawled up my spine. The basement, the chemicals, the darkness, the words new people, the plastic sheets, the IDs. They weren't preparing a meal that I was supposed to be the meal. Or the entertainment. Or the next missing person on a shelf of IDs that if I hadn't faked that call, I'd be in a soundproof room made for screaming no one could hear. Sometimes at night, I still hear them. My guests don't like waiting. Where's the girl? We can handle company. But what keeps me awake isn't what they said, that it's the fact they escaped into the darkness, and they know my face, my name, where I work, every night. When I leave the shop after midnight, I check every car, every shadow, every parked truck, because men like that don't stop, not because they're hungry, but because they enjoy the hunt, and I was almost their next meal. I never realized loneliness could roar louder than the ocean itself, but Florida proved it to me during my first semester after transferring. I'd moved down from Ohio hoping for a clean slate, a reset button. But the Sunshine State didn't feel so sunny in my world. I was 19, broke, and spending my nights delivering pizzas for Harbor Slice, a family-owned shop 2 blocks off Bayview Road in Clearwater. Everything back home had fallen apart like dominoes. My mom's second marriage crumbled, my stepbrother overdosed, and the house slipped into foreclosure. All of it stacked on top of me like soggy cardboard ready to collapse. Florida was supposed to be my exit route, or at least that's what I kept telling myself. Every morning, the humidity hit me like it had a personal grudge. And the locals? They had this half-joking, half-dash, say that again and we fight, way of talking. But Harbor Slice, that place felt like the only solid ground I had. Leroy, my boss, was a short, stocky guy with a dense beard, a rough voice, and a heart big enough to feed half the city for free. Tessa handled the counter, quick-witted, sarcastic, dyed blue hair, and always chewing gum like it owed her money. And Ridge, another delivery guy in his mid-20s, covered in tattoos and acting like life was one giant joke that we weren't a family, but it was the closest I'd come to one. The night everything went wrong started like any regular Florida evening, thick, sticky air, fading thunder in the distance, tourists yelling near the pier, and that strange anxious tug in my gut I couldn't explain. I'd felt watched for days, but I chalked it up to paranoia. Clearwater has weirdos. Everybody knows that. Yo, Sully, Tessa called, slamming 2 boxes down. Bayview Road. Apartment 203. R. Baines. Paid online. Tip included. Easy one. Bayview again. I groaned. That building smells like someone microwaved a corpse. Ridge snorted. Bro, it's Florida. Everything smells like microwaved corpse. Even Leroy cracked a smile. Quit whining. Deliver those pies before the cheese turns to concrete. I grabbed the thermal bag, keys, and receipt, and headed out. Florida nights are beautiful for about 8 minutes, then the heat grabs you like a wet blanket. That I didn't know it yet, but that was the last normal conversation I'd ever have in that shop. Bayview Apartments looked even worse than usual. Dim lights, an elevator that had given up years ago, and mosquitoes big enough to file taxes. I trudged up the stairs, sweat rolling down my spine. When I reached apartment 203, the hallway felt wrong. Too quiet. No TV, no voices. Just the hum of a dying AC unit. That I knocked. Nothing. Knocked again. Still nothing. That I pulled out my phone and called the number on file. It rang 3 times before someone picked up. Not a hello. Not a question, just breathing, slow, heavy, right next to the mic. This is Sullivan from Harbor Slice. I'm at your. The breathing cut off. Then a man spoke, his voice so calm it punched every nerve in my back. You're not supposed to be there yet. My chest squeezed tight. What? You got here too quickly, he whispered, like stating a fact. I'm not ready for you. The way he said you made nausea wrap around my stomach. I'm leaving the pizzas at the door, I managed, stepping back. No, he murmured. Stay. I hung up instantly and knocked once more, panic rising. Nothing about this was normal, not even Florida normal. That I turned to leave when the lock clicked, the door cracked open 2 inches. Total darkness behind it. One eye stared out, pale blue, unblinking. Hello, Sullivan, the voice said softly. How do you know my? He opened the door wider. I couldn't fully see his face, but I caught enough. Pale skin, shaved head, a smile stretched too wide, like he'd practiced it but had never felt it. I've been waiting to meet you, he whispered. Every instinct screamed run, but my legs froze. What is this? I demanded, trying to sound braver than I felt. That bag, he said, pointing at my thermal carrier. Bring it inside. Not happening that he tilted his head. Don't be rude. You don't want to upset me, do you? I stepped back. He stepped forward. That's when I saw his feet, bare, no shoes, no socks. Covered in wet, dark soil that wasn't Florida sand. Dirt packed under broken nails that I bolted. I sprinted down the hallway, down the stairs, out the building. He didn't chase me. Not at first. But I heard him giggle, soft and delighted, as I ran, hands shaking. I called Harbor Slice. You good? Tessa asked. No. No, Tess. Something's wrong. He knew my name. He knew I got there early. Slow down, she said, suddenly serious. You sound like you're gonna puke. I explained everything. She went quiet. Dude, there's no online order under that name. What? No Banes in the system tonight. Check again. I did. Sully, that order didn't come from us. My blood froze. So, who sent me there? Sully just walked into some messed up, __, Tessa muttered, and Ridge grabbed the phone. Go home, he ordered. Right now. Don't take another order. But my gut said home wasn't safe. That man hadn't been confused. He'd been waiting. Leroy forced me to take one last delivery before he closed early, 1148 Maroro Drive. Cash order. No name that I should have refused. But desperation makes you stupid. Florida after midnight is a horror movie, empty, humid, buzzing with insects. When I reached the address, my whole body screamed wrong. That it wasn't a house. It was a construction site. Half-built frame, tall weeds, no lights. That I grabbed the pizza bag anyway and approached. Hello. I called. Something shuffled inside, then a voice drifted out. You're early again, Sullivan. My stomach fell through the floor. Same voice, same man. How? I stammered. How did you? A tall, thin silhouette appeared inside the frame. Hunched slightly. You should have stayed at Bayview, he said. But that's all right. We can still continue. I stumbled backward. He stepped onto the porch. Bare feet. Fresh soil again, like he'd crawled out of the ground. Sully, he whispered. Don't make me chase you. I ran for my life. Jumped into my car. Slammed the door, and he appeared at my window instantly, palm pressed against the glass, smiling. That I peeled out, tires screaming. He didn't move. Just watched me drive off. That I didn't go home. Didn't go back to Harbor Slice. I parked behind a Walgreens and tried to sleep, adrenaline shaking me awake every few minutes. Eventually exhaustion took over. Then, tap. 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 I jolted awake. A man stood outside my window. Hoodie. Hands in pockets. Different clothes, but the same posture. Same smile, same man that he waved, found you, he said that I threw the car in reverse, heart beating out of my chest. He didn't chase me, that he didn't have to. He had already proven he could find me anywhere. The police didn't believe much until I showed them the call logs and receipt. But things shifted when they investigated. Bayview apartment 203 had been empty for 9 months. No power. No tenant. Door locked from the inside. The Mororo Drive site had police tape around it. They found bare footprints leading from the woods to the house and back again, prints from my window, no match in any database. Could be a drifter, one cop said, or someone who likes playing games, another muttered, but the third officer looked me dead in the eyes. You're lucky. He's not finished. People like that don't quit because you ran, they quit when they get what they want. What does he want? I whispered. The officer didn't answer. That he didn't need to. I knew that I changed jobs, apartments, schedule. Stopped delivering pizzas. Stopped going out at night. Stopped sleeping much, but last night, while taking trash out behind my new building, I heard him, that same soft, delighted voice behind the dumpster. You're late this time, Sullivan. My blood froze. That he stepped out with that same stretched smile, pale blue eyes, and those dirt-covered feet. This is better, he whispered. Now we can finish what we started. He came closer. I backed against the wall. His breath brushed my skin. Sullivan, he murmured, we're not done. And then he walked away. Calm. Slow. Confident, because he knew I wouldn't follow, and he was right, because I finally understood. He's not stalking me, that he's hunting me, and he won't stop, not until I open the door, not until I let him in, not until he gets what he came for.